that gives all my football picks, all my all the shows, the schedules that I have whenever I'm on with WGBB, and anything else like that. You can also check out sportstalk1240.com and to see whenever I'm doing anything else on WGBB in New York. But right now I do want to get into quick the Kristaps Porzingis trade. Really came out of nowhere, came out of left field, shocking. A lot of Knicks fans, including myself, I almost threw up when I read it. But then when when you really break it down and get into it, as a Knicks fan, the Knicks kind of had no choice. It's kind of crazy to say where he's Porzingis was only a free agent this year, a restricted free agent. I'm sorry, but he had the option to sign a 5-year, $158 million max contract with the Knicks, which he supposedly had no interest in. Word was going around. I don't know if it's just this PR job by the Knicks trying to make themselves look a little better, but the word going around the NBA right now is that Porzingis was going to only sign a qualifying offer for $4.5 million, pretty much betting on himself for this season. I mean, had he signed that max contract, he would have been playing for over $27 million this season. So he was really betting on himself if he was just going to sign a 1-year, $4.5 million deal. But the trade came down, and it was Porzingis, along with Hardaway Jr., Trey Burke, and Courtney Lee going to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for guard Dennis Smith Jr., who, if you remember, he's the guy that Phil Jackson and company passed up in the draft a year or two ago to select Frank Ntilikina. Now, Dennis Smith Jr. had a very good rookie campaign. He's going to actually be in the slam dunk competition this year, so the Knicks will actually have some representation at the All-Star weekend this year. But, when you really look at it, Dennis Smith Jr. And a couple of expiring contracts in DeAndre Jordan, who's going to be very interesting to see him in a Knicks jersey. I never, he's one of those guys that you never expected to see in a Knicks jersey, even for a short stint. And then Wesley Matthews, who will only be there for a short term himself. They also got 2 future draft picks, which is, it's really depending on what happens the next couple of years now. So due to NBA rules, the Mavericks can't trade back-to-back first-round picks. So they traded in the Luka Doncic trade last NBA draft. They traded this year's first-round pick. So by rule, they can't trade next year's first-round pick to the Knicks. So the earliest that they can get these picks are 2021, and due to that rule too, you can't get 2022, so it would have to be 2023. So we're really looking down the road here, and actually there's even a scenario where they could end up with the 2022 and then 24 picks, but that would be some of their scenario, but there is a chance that could happen, and as unfortunate as that would be. But you know what? As much as it sucks that we have to sit here and play the waiting game, it's better than dealing with a guy in Porzingis who was obviously disgruntled. Obviously, it looked like he was trying to force his way out. That's the way the Knicks are making it sound right now, whether that's a PR smooth over or not. But, it's frustrating with Porzingis. He came here a couple of years ago, in 2015. He was expected to be the next big thing, the foundation, the next Patrick Ewing, the next Willis Reed or Clyde, and then he turns out to be just a flash in the pan for a couple of years. And, this is a guy who, in his Knicks career, the Knicks, while this guy was on the floor, the Knicks were only 76 and 109. So this guy talking to me about his worries about what the winning direction that the Knicks are in just comes off as a little disingenuous to me. The guy doesn't know much about winning. He's 22 years old. He's never been on a winning team in his life. And I know it's partially the Knicks' fault too. But you know what? Maybe these guys in the NBA need to start worrying about cultivating a winning culture in their own locker room rather than trying to run to one. As much as I love Porzingis, he comes off like a drama queen to me in this. And he came off like a drama queen a couple of times in the past. Like, as much as I didn't like Phil Jackson's stint here, it was a baby move a couple of years ago to not show up for the exit meetings when he just got on a plane and went back to Latvia and completely stiffed, Phil Jackson. And, I didn't like Phil Jackson either, although he did get the Knicks Porzingis in the first place, so you do have to give him credit for that. But, this was a guy who was supposed to be the foundation, and maybe the task was too big for him. I don't know. I thought that everybody was in on the fact that this year was going to be sacrificed in exchange for the future, in exchange for hopefully landing a top free agent. And now you've got to hope that without Porzingis, that they land 2 top free agents. And, that really sucks. And it's a good thing now that they can land 2 by the fact that they got rid of Courtney Lee and Tim Hardaway Jr. They get rid of those $30 million. But, it's another thing, too, the fact that you have to hope that you can convince 2 people here. There's a lot of tumultuous and, a lot of things are unsettled in the Knicks franchise right now, and it's not going to be that attractive of a destination for a big-time free agent. But you've got to hope that a guy like Kevin Durant wants to come here and put this team and this city on his back. And Kevin Durant's got 3 rings. Kevin Durant really could be like a Mark Messier, where he comes to this team, and obviously Mark Messier was kind of like the last, piece to the drink, the last, the straw that stirs the drink, if you will, kind of to take a page out of Reggie Jackson's book. But he could be the foundation, and he could put this team on his back and be that guy that brings this team and this city back to greatness. And that's a task that he's going to have to want to be up to, and he's going to have to want one of his NBA stars, one of his friends to come with him, whether it's Kyrie or Kawhi Leonard or Jimmy Butler or any of these guys, maybe his teammate Klay Thompson over there in Golden State. So it's going to be very interesting now, these next few weeks, to see, actually really until Thursday. This Thursday is the NBA trade deadline, so I guess we'll see if Anthony Davis gets traded or if the Pelicans hold on to him. We'll see if, really any of these things happen. It's going to be, that is one crazy thing about the NBA too, is that it's really turned into a 12-month league where even after the NBA Finals ends in June, once July 1st hits, and even before that with the NBA draft, you pretty much know that there's going to be a lot of fireworks, there's going to be moves you don't expect, guys are going to land on teams where you don't expect it to happen, and, right now if you would have told me a couple of days ago that Kristaps Porzingis was not going to be a Knick, there's no way in hell I would have believed you. And it's a shame that it turned out this way. It's a shame that the Knicks ended up losing a potential star player like this. But you have to look at it for its reality. He didn't want to be here. And a guy that doesn't want to be here, you got to get out as quickly as possible. Did the Knicks get the best offer possible? Well, word going around right now is that they shopped him around the league for a couple of months, that they knew this was coming, that they saw this, coming up in their rearview mirror. But, that's to be seen. It does kind of seem like a coincidence, or a little bit less than that, a day after they play the Mavericks and a day after Porzingis makes these supposed threats, that he's gone. So, we'll see where that goes, and, to basically, this season is a wash. You got to hope that the Knicks come out with a Zion at the end of this from Duke. You got to hope Zion Williamson ends up there, but that's not even a guarantee. Is even if the Knicks end with the worst record in the NBA, it doesn't matter, because the bottom 3 teams all have a 14% chance. Before this season, it was the team with the worst record had a 25% chance, and then there on out it decreased for every team after that. But that's not the case this year, as 14% for the bottom 3, so the Knicks got just as good a chance as anybody within the 3 records around them. So it's nothing's a guarantee. You got to hope everything falls in your place. And I got to tell you right now, if we're looking at a situation where July 5th, Zion Williamson, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant are all Knicks, well, the only thing that I can tell you is that God's a Knicks fan, because he must have just put the Knicks through these last 20, 25 years of hell just to get this this nice little winning run, if it ever does happen. But the chances of that are to say it's likely would just be disingenuous. And I want to be hopeful. I'm a Knicks fan. I think they can turn it around. I think this is a good step, getting a disgruntled player out. But, you just got to see what goes from here. And we'll take it from that. And with that, we'll be right back.